NFL preseason debates countdown. 10 days.
That's it, everybody. 10 days until the NFL season kicks off. So, Perloff, today, our preseason debate. Is it a mistake to start rookie quarterbacks from the beginning of the season, like right away, which looks like it's going to happen? C.J. Stroud was named the starter for Houston. Anthony Richardson and Bryce Young have already been named starters, and those were the 3 first-round picks from last year's draft.
Now, obviously, I think every situation is different, but first of all, this is a different era than back in the day when Carson Palmer would have to wait a year for John Kitna, et cetera, because these guys grow up playing 7-on-7 football. They pass in high school. They pass in college. Quarterbacks are plenty experienced. They've had tons and tons of reps, except for Trey Lance. So they're usually more ready to start as rookies, much like the receivers are now ready to play receiver. So I think it's a different league. And to me, you learn on the job. It's just common sense, not even just football. There's no other way to learn how to do something except to be on the field doing it. I don't understand really the philosophy of having someone sit behind you and learn the offense or take notes or anything, because the only way I've ever learned something is by doing it.
Yeah, I mean, I disagree. I like the old way, which was a guy. Here's the thing. You're saying that the NFL is different nowadays. You're right. The NFL is different because of salary structures and guys come up playing and throwing at such young ages. It's also different because we're dissecting every single thing these quarterbacks do on the field, off the field, the amount of attention, spotlight. They can't move, breathe. They make a bad mistake. It's like it's intensified at some points in a way that's comical. And I know we're part of the problem here sometimes with the media, but it's not just media, it's fans too. You know, it's Romeo Doubs, or was it Christian Watson, drops that pass week 1, and it's like he didn't get his confidence back for another 2 months.
He dropped a Jordan Love bomb this weekend. I wanted to go through my TV screen and throttle him, by the way. I'm a little worried about that, but go ahead. I'm
just saying, you know, it's a different world in terms of football, but it's also a different world in terms of
reaction.
Everything. It's just more. And I don't think it's such a bad thing maybe to keep a guy who's already, like, have you ever heard quarterbacks talk about their last year of college and then the draft season and then going right into their first year? You just don't get a break mentally at all. And I think sometimes it can be okay to sit back and watch someone else do it. And then you get you understand the rhythm of the weeks and how the season is going to go, and then you start.
Well, okay, but I'll give a bunch of examples, and you'll give a bunch of examples.
Sure.
But Peyton Manning had 28 interceptions his rookie year, the famous one, and became one of the top 5 quarterbacks of all time. Your guy, Josh Allen, I mean, what was his? I don't think there was that much scrutiny on him as a rookie. I thought he was doing. He obviously did not take off until his second or third year. But I don't remember everybody busting on Josh Allen.
You want to know why? Unique situation where there was no hope at quarterback for 20 years before that.
But, I mean, is there a lot of hope with Carolina? I think the bar is pretty low.
Cam Newton at one point. I mean, it's not like...
But, I mean, I don't think they're expecting Bryce Young to do... The team expectations are so low. I don't feel like there's going to be a lot of scrutiny on Bryce Young. They just want him to stay healthy. And same with C.J. Stroud in Houston.
Yeah.
A little less so. Anthony Richardson's getting a little bit of expectation with his... hype, but I generally think that nobody expects any of those teams to win right now.
Yeah, but if it looks bad, and when they inevitably make those bad rookie mistakes, it depends. You got to be in the right situation so that it doesn't get magnified to a point where a guy totally loses confidence and crashes out. The other thing, too, that's different from back in the day to now is coaches are just revolving door. We average 7 new NFL head coaches on average a year. So you're a rookie quarterback. It doesn't go well for you. Say your coach could get fired. Then you bring a new person in. Now you're losing a new offense. And that person can get 2 years, and that person can get fired. You know, it's just there's such a knee-jerk reaction in basically every franchise except for the Steelers that, and I guess the Ravens, it's crazy.
Well, I'll play, not devil's advocate, but one thing that's changed in coaching is now the NFL coaches are copying the college coaches, so all these college kids kind of have the principles down. So, and they're used to revolving doors of coaches. So, obviously, Bryce Young was with Bill O'Brien at Alabama, who's a pro coach. C.J. Stroud was with Ryan Day, who NFL coaches are calling all the time and saying, hey, what is that thing you're doing at Ohio State? So, I think that it's just a way different game than it used to be because college is such an advanced passing game. I mean, honestly, the Ohio State passing game last year was pretty awesome. So I think, although no, the Ohio State quarterbacks have not
panned out. Yeah, we'll see about Fields.
I do think there's reason to believe they're more ready than they ever were. And you're right, there's going to be new coaches, but I'm not sure why that means. You might as well get them in. If teams are smart, they look at this as a developmental year. So I think they did with Justin Fields. I think they've been patient and they've said, you know what, we don't care that we're bad now. Last year nobody was yelling at Justin Fields for how bad they were they?
No, but he didn't start right away. Remember, like he did get a little time behind Andy Dalton, right? 2 years ago.
2 years ago, right.
Yeah,
But
he
last
didn't get
year
thrown right into the fire. No, because he's so electrifying, you never know what to throw to. But people were critical of him. I definitely think there were people who were wondering, like, when's he gonna throw?
I don't think. Okay, let's take these three guys this year. Do you think anyone's going to kill them if they struggle?
I do not have any. I do not have high expectations for these three guys. I told you guys coming out of college, I was worried about Bryce Young with his size and height. Like the combination of the two could be tricky for him. I don't think that offensive line is as good in Carolina as maybe people thought it was going to be, so that can be tricky.
Who thought it was going to be good?
Well, they have some high draft picks on that line.
Yeah, okay.
And C.J. Stroud is probably the most pro-ready, but nobody's expecting anything from Houston. Our pal Andy Staples, Jack, if we can hear cut number 7, was on our show on Friday. Nobody knows more about the Florida Gators football program than Andy Staples. And here's where he was imploring the Colts, do not start Anthony Richardson right away.
I said this all along. If you're going to draft Anthony Richardson, do not start him the first year. Don't do it. I think it's a mistake. I think they should let Minshew play a little bit and give him some time. Do what the Chiefs did with Mahomes because he's young. He needs some time to mature. And you can say, well, he's got to do that on the field. No, he does not because you might get broken mentally.
There you go.
You watch Anthony Richardson in preseason. Does he look like he is anywhere close to being broken mentally?
No, he looks
the dude did the Fly Eagles Fly against the Eagles. He is good.
You know what? That was right the day after he taunted the Eagles fans with the Fly Eagles Fly.
But the difference is also he's not seeing like true packages on defense and
it was all the Eagles
game planning
backups
and scheming against him. He's going against backups. What happens is, like, you look at the David Carrs with those 90 or 70 sacks in his rookie year. Look at Zach Wilson. You look at all these guys, you get thrown into the fire just a little bit early, and it's not that they don't have the talent. Jamarcus Russell, our guy Ryan Leaf, they just weren't emotionally and mentally prepared. They were still, post-college mentality, and there's a certain kind of pressure and expectation on your shoulders to carry not only a team, but to be a face of a franchise, to carry other men on your shoulders and be the man. And sometimes it's just a lot. You're adapting to life. You're adapting to buying a house. You're adapting to all the requests that your family and your friends are making. You're adapting to traveling and living in a new city. You're adapting to all these things as a young man in your early 20s, and now you have all these expectations. You're right. No one's going to blame Anthony Richardson or Bryce Young or C.J. Stroud if they fail. But if they fail, it could ruin them to a point where they're not recoverable and their careers are ruined forever.
But wait, how do you think they're better prepared for the second year? By having played or having never played?
Well, I think you can find a little meat in the middle, and we've seen teams do that as well. This is famous with Eli Manning and Kurt Warner did this.
You don't have to start week 1, but you also don't have to sit out the entire first year. Give him a couple weeks to just acclimate as a man, mentally, emotionally, all those things. Get used to what the NFL is, and then get him in there after a couple weeks also. Because here's the thing, Gardner Minshew's there in Indianapolis, right? If he starts the first couple weeks and he's okay or great or terrible, it doesn't matter. You put Anthony Richardson in, and now, boom, you got Anthony Richardson there. If Richardson struggles, there's going to be people saying, you know what, maybe we should put Gardner Minshew in.
I do think it is harder, and that does happen for a guy. It's harder when they start the season and then have to get pulled out, as opposed to when they sit and then can get thrown in later on in the season. Like this did happen with Sam Darnold his rookie year. He got like a phantom ankle injury or something like week 10 because he was just gassed. And Josh McCown came in and was terrible, and then he came back like 3 weeks later and finished out the season because he just needed a break.
Totally. I mean, Anthony Richardson's going to earn playing time with his legs. So he's a totally different. I mean, Vince Young never made it as an NFL quarterback. He was rookie of the year by just running on every single play.
RG3, same. Rookie of the year.
Well, RG3, though, could throw much more than Anthony Richardson and Vince Young. I think it's a little different. But I think Anthony Richardson's legs fit this team and what they're doing. So he'll be able to buy some time. Just like Justin Fields, I know it was his second year, but Justin Fields bought some time. So I think Bryce Young has shown he's going to move around a lot. It's a little scarier with him, because of the injuries. But I think mobile quarterbacks, and I see what you're saying, Mike. I totally understand. But Jamarcus Russell and David Carr, those guys, pocket quarterbacks, yeah, there's a lot going on there. That's really hard. But if you can run, I think you can sort of jump where you're supposed to be and get some extra reps in there. I think Richardson's going to be a spectacular runner. Even though he was doing it against second team, I understand.
Yeah.
But all the signs are he's going to be a very unique running quarterback.
Do you think all three of these guys are going to end up being really good? Maybe not their rookie year, but like they're all going to pan out?
Yeah. Well, I'm such a sucker for preseason. I watched all the throws C.J. Stroud had yesterday. Oh, my gosh. Like, wow, that looked good. But it reminded me, like, that's Ohio State quarterback. I have a lot of faith in Bryce Young. I have second most faith in Anthony Richardson. And I think all three are going to be pretty good. But C.J. Stroud could run into that, I don't know, that Dwayne Haskins thing where you're on the wrong team. The guy who I think is ironically most pro-ready is in the worst situation. Because what do we know about Houston's offense around him?
Oh, Mechie?
I mean, unless they hand it off a lot to Dameon Pierce.
Yep.
Yeah, and Indy's offense isn't great either. That's the other thing, too. These teams have nothing to lose by starting them. Gardner Minshew, I know, Mike, he's a very good veteran quarterback. He's not winning anything in Indianapolis.
But Indianapolis isn't winning anything anyway. And by the way, tomorrow is the deadline for Jonathan Taylor. It's a deadline that the team has given Jonathan Taylor to try to find a trade. If not, he's going to be on the team. And honestly, I think he helps Anthony Richardson a lot.
They might win something.
What do you think? You think the Jags are going to fall off in the AFC South?
No, I mean, I think the Colts could win some games, though. I mean, listen, Tim Tebow made the playoffs by just running. He didn't throw a single pass. He was a young quarterback with no passing skills whatsoever.
Well, one famous one to Demaryius Thomas. Maybe rest in peace.
But if you have a good defense and you run like crazy, you can pick up some games as a rookie. So maybe they have, how many All-Pros are on that team? They have Shaq Leonard, Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly. They got a lot of good players. We'll see.